You will have a benchmark exam on November 10th. It will cover all material that we have covered so far in 7th grade. And so this is your review. Number 1 says, which of the following statements is true? Every integer is a repeating decimal. Well, actually, integers cannot be decimals at all, so no. Every terminating decimal is an integer. Again, integers cannot be decimals. Every integer is a rational number. Well, if you think about our Venn diagram that shows whole numbers, and then integers is outside that, and then rationals is outside that. So yes, all integers are inside the rational circle. So yes, that's true. Every rational number is a repeating decimal. Well, 1/5 is a rational number and it's not repeating. So the correct answer would be this one. Number 2, label the following fractions as terminating decimal, repeating decimal, or integer. So we need to take each one of these fractions and divide them and see if they are terminating or repeating, or if they come out even, that would make them an integer. So 86 divided by 9 . 9 5/9. And we should know that ninths are repeating. That would be 9.5 repeating. So that's our repeating. And next one is 84 divided by 7. That one comes out even, so that one must be our integer. That leaves the last one to be the terminating decimal, but let's just check. It does become a decimal, but it ends. So that would be terminating. Now let's look at the answer choices. It says 86/9 is repeating. That's correct. None of the rest of them show that. It says 84/7 is an integer. That's correct. And 82/5 is terminating. So the first answer choice is the correct one. Number 3, Miss Ambrose paid $32.38 for 8.75 gallons of gasoline. Approximately how much did she pay per gallon? Per gallon, that means that we want to know for one. And if we want to find out for one of something, we divide. So 32.38 divided by 8.75. It's a big number. Going to have to move the decimal over 2 spaces. So that puts the decimal there. And you can kind of think, to get a good guess, cover the last 2 digits and think, how many times would 8 go into 32? 4 times. So that might be a good guess. Let's try it. What is 875 times 4? That's a little bit too big, so let's try 3. 875 times 3. That's smaller, so put a 3, and then it's 2,625, and we subtract. Don't forget to borrow. And we got to bring down a decimal, 0. Well, I know that 875 is going to go into that more than 4 times. Again, you can do the same trick. Cover up those last 2 digits. How many times would 8 go into 61? About 7 times. So let's try 7. That might be a good guess. 875 times 7. That's very close. So 6,125 with just 5 left over. And I'm pretty sure 875 is not going to go into 50, so that's a 0. And then we have to bring down another 0. It's money, so we really only need it to go 2 decimal spaces, but I have to go 1 more to know if I'm going to round up or not. So the next number would be 0 again, because 875 is too big for 500. So that's going to round to $3.70. Number 4. Which number goes in the box to make the equation true? Well, let's see what all of this right here would equal. 3.5 plus 2.2. Remember, you have to line up the decimals. So that first part is 5.7, and then we're going to minus 1.1. So all of this adds up to be 4.6 plus something equals 3.7. Well, what would I have to add to a big number to get a smaller number? A negative, that's right, a negative. So, what's the difference between 4.6 and 3.7? Just 0.9. And again, we said it has to be negative because I'm really taking 0.9 away. So either put negative 0.9 or negative 0.9. Number 5. The temperature at a ski resort in Vermont was 5 degrees Fahrenheit at 8 a.m. By noon, the temperature rose 16.5 degrees Fahrenheit. From noon to 3 p.m., the temperature rose another 7 degrees. From 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., the temperature fell 21 degrees Fahrenheit as a snowstorm came in. From 9 p.m. to midnight, the temperature fell 18 degrees Fahrenheit more. What was the temperature at midnight? Okay, so it starts at 5. It's going to rise 16 degrees. That means we're going to add. So that would make it 21. And then it rises again, so that's adding another 7. And then it's going to fall, so that means we're going to subtract 21. Subtract 21, and we get 7. And then it's going to fall 18. That means we're going to take another 18 degrees away. So if we have 7 and we're taking away 18, that's our rule, keep change opposite, because we're taking away more than what we had. So keep that 7, make that a plus, and that's a negative 18. So 18 minus 7, because the rule is different signs, we've got to subtract. But my answer is going to be negative because the number that's bigger is a negative, so negative 11 degrees. At midnight, the temperature was negative 11. Number 6. Mr. Wayne has a 3-year contract for his cell phone service. He pays $124.65 each month to cover everyone in his family. His employer reimburses him $45.95 each month because he uses his cell phone for work. How much will the family cell phone service cost Mr. Wayne over a 3-year period? So, reimburse means that they're going to give that money back to him. So that right there is money he can take off of his bill. He does not have to pay that. So if we're taking it off, that would be subtraction. Be sure to line up your decimals. And 5 minus 5 is 0. And we borrow. 16 minus 9 is 7. 13 minus 5 is 8. And 11 minus 4 is 7. So his monthly bill is $78.70. But they want to know for a 3-year period. There are 12 months in a year, so 12 times 3 makes 36 months. So I need to multiply 36 times 7870 to figure out how much it would be in 3 years. I'm going to make the problem a little bit easier on me so I don't have to multiply as many numbers by taking off that 0. Because remember, if a 0 is behind a decimal, I can drop that off. So 78.7 times 36. 6 times 7 is 42. Carry the 4. 6 times 8 is 48. Plus 4 makes 52. 6 times 7 again is 42. 42 plus the 5 we carried. 47. Done with that 6. I'm going to put down a 0. Mark off everything I carried so I don't accidentally use it again. And then 3 times 7 is 21. Carry a 2. 3 times 8 is 24. Plus the 2 makes 26. Carry the 2. 3 times 7, 21. Plus 2 makes 23. Add those up. And then we had 1 decimal space in the problem, so I need 1 in the answer. It goes right there. So he's going to spend $2,833.20, because remember, money gets 2 decimal spaces, so I need to put that 0 back. Number 7. Josie is playing a computer game where she earns 5 points each time she answers a question correctly. She loses 0.5 points when she answers a question incorrectly. Josie had a score of 8 points before she answered 9 questions in a row incorrectly. What is Josie's score now? So her score was 8, and then she answered 9 wrong. Well, if she answers 9 questions wrong, each one of those is 0.5. Each one. That means we need to multiply 9 times 0.5 to see how many points she just lost. And 9 times 5 is 45, and the decimal goes 1 space over. So she lost 4.5 points. Lost means it's going to be minus or negative. So we need to take that away from her score. Remember, decimals have to line up, so the 8 would have a decimal there, which means the 4 goes under the 8. Then we subtract. So Josie's new score is 3.5, or 3.5. Number 8. What expression is equivalent to negative 3 over 4 divided by negative 8? Well, to figure out what expression would be equal, we have to remember the rule for division is keep, change, flip. Okay, so first, I'd have to make the negative 8 into a fraction. And I do that by putting a 1 under it. And then if I follow that rule, keep, change, flip, I would keep the negative 3 over 4, change the division sign to multiplication, and flip the last fraction so that the 1 is on top and the negative 8 is on bottom. Okay? Neither one of those show making that into a fraction. The third answer choice shows making it into a fraction, but it has a division sign. So this one is the correct one because it changed it to multiplication and flipped the fraction. Number 9. A diver needs to descend to a depth of 200 feet. She wants to do this in 8 equal descents. How far should she travel in each descent? We want to make that into 8 equal sections. That's division. So 200 divided by 8. 8 goes into 20. 2 times, because 8 times 2 is 16. With 4 left over, bring the 0 down. 8 goes into 40. 5 times, because 8 times 5 is 40. So it'll take her 25 descents to get to 200 feet. So 25. Number 10. Ben needs 1 3/8 yards of fabric to make 1 banner. How many banners can he make from 4.5 yards of fabric? So we're taking our total and putting it into groups of 1 3/8. That would be division. So the thing that we want to put first is 4.5 divided by 1 3/8. First, we need to do around the world to change those both to improper fractions. So 2 times 4 makes 8, plus the 1 on top makes 9 over 2, divided by 8 times 1, which is 8, plus the 3 on top makes 11 over 8. Then we have to remember our rule for division of fractions. Keep, change, flip. Keep the 9 over 2, change division to multiplication, and flip the fraction. And then we can simplify. 2 can be divided by 2, and I get 1. 8 divided by 2 makes 4. Now that we've simplified, we can go straight across. 9 times 4 is 36, and 1 times 11 makes 11. That's improper, so we're going to need to divide that out. Man, horse. Man goes in the house. Horse goes outside. 11 goes into 36 3 times with 3 left over. So that's 3 3/11. Because remember, the leftovers go on top and the denominator is whatever it started out as. So the answer is 3 3/11. Number 11. The table gives the difference from normal monthly snowfall for a city. What was the average difference from the normal snowfall for the given months? If you're trying to find the average, you have to add up all the numbers and divide by how many numbers there are. So we're going to add each of these. You can either take 2 numbers at a time, or we can put all the positives together and then all the negatives together. I'm going to go ahead and put all the positives together and then all the negatives together. So I have positive 4 and positive 8. Together, 4 plus 8 makes 12. So that's positive 12. And then I have negative 2 plus negative 3 plus negative 2 plus negative 0.5. Remember, we're going to have to line up the decimals. So 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 0.5. Oh, I need to give everybody a decimal so that everything's fair. So that's negative 7.5. And then I subtract those two. So 12 minus 7.5. Again, 12 is going to need a decimal. And I have to borrow. So I got 4.5. Is it positive or negative? Positive, because the bigger number was positive. Now we have to divide by how many numbers there were. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is 4.5 divided by 6. Remember the decimals right there. So 6 goes into 45 7 times, because 7 times 6 is 42. Subtract, and we get 3. Put another 0, bring it down. 6 goes into 30 5 times, with nothing left over. So the average difference was 0.75 inches. 0.75 inches. Number 12. Edwin pays a company $870 every 4 months to clean his office. How much does Edwin pay per month? So that's a unit rate. They want to know for 1 month. 870 divided by 4, because to find the unit rate, just like finding the constant rate, we divide. 4 goes into 8 twice. Nothing left over. 4 goes into 7 once, with 3 left over. 4 goes into 30 7 times, 2 left over. Put a decimal, a 0, and keep going. 4 goes into 20 5 times. Nothing more left over. But this is money, and money has 2 decimal spaces, so $217.50 is for 1 month. Number 13. Edwin again pays a company $870 every 4 months to clean his office. How many dollars does Edwin pay for cleaning over a 19-month period? Well, we just figured out he pays $217 for 1 month. So to figure out 19 months, I'd need to multiply times 19. First the 9. 9 times 0 is 0. 9 times 5 is 45. Carry the 4. 9 times 7 is 63 plus 4 makes 67. 9 times 1 is 9 plus 6, 15. 9 times 2 is 18 plus 1 makes 19. Not done. Mark out the 9. Put down a 0. Multiply by the 1. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. Then we add those up. When you get your answer, you need to move the decimal over 2 spaces, because there were 2 spaces in the problem, so I need to move it over 2 spaces in the answer. So that makes our answer $4,132.50. Number 14. In a science experiment, the temperature increased by 0.1 degrees Celsius every 15 minutes. What fraction is the unit rate in degrees Celsius per hour? So we are changing the 15 minutes to hours. Okay, we had 0.1 degree to 15 minutes. That was our rate that they gave us. And we want to change minutes to hours. So remember, we multiply by the conversion fact. We're changing minutes to hours. So the conversion fact is 60 minutes to 1 hour. We can cancel the minutes. We can even simplify 60 and 15. I can at least simplify by 5. 15 divided by 5 would be 3. 60 divided by 5 is 12. And look, I can also divide 12 and 3 by 3. So let's simplify again. 3 divided by 3 makes 1. 12 divided by 3 makes 4. And then we can go straight across. 0.1 times 4 makes 0.4. And 1 times 1 makes 1. And there's a reminder that a unit rate compares to units, so I need to use words. That is 0.4 degrees per hour. It also says as a fraction. So what is 0.4 as a fraction? I hope you remember it's 4/10. 0.4 is 4/10, so that's 4 over 10. And we need to simplify. 4/10 would be, divide both of those by 2, we'd get 2/5. So as a fraction, this is 2/5 degrees per hour. The next question is very much the same thing, except it says decimal. And we already figured out that the decimal was 0.4. So as a decimal, it would be 0.4 degrees per hour. Must use the words if it says rate. Number 16. Which of the following is the best description of the number negative 90 over 15? Well, it's talking about repeating decimals and terminating decimals and rational numbers. I think we might need to divide that out because it's an improper fraction. So let's see what we get. You might guess and check a few times to see how many times 15 would go into 90. It's 6. 6 times 15 is 90. And a negative divided by a positive, or a positive divided by a negative, either way it ends up as negatives. That's what all of the answer choices say. And it came out even, -6. So the first choice says a negative rational number that is a repeating decimal. Well, it's definitely not a repeating decimal. A negative rational number that is also an integer. It is an integer. Negative number that is not a rational. Well, all negative numbers, whether they're decimals or fractions, they're all rational numbers, so that's not possible. A negative rational number that is neither repeating nor terminating. Well, it isn't repeating or terminating. So that could possibly be true. But I think the best answer choice would be this one because it is an integer. It comes out even to -6. Number 17, Jason is planting a garden that will have sunflowers and irises. The table below shows the relationship between the number of sunflowers, X, and the number of irises, Y. So sunflowers, irises. What is the ratio of number of irises to sunflowers? So irises would go first, and sunflowers would go on bottom. Remember, a ratio is a fraction, so 45 to 12. And we need to simplify that. What can we divide 45 and 12 by? Well, at least 3. 45 divided by 3 makes 15, and 12 divided by 3 makes 4. It said ratio, so we want it to stay as a fraction. So we're going to leave it as 15 to 4. Number 18. The price of one share of stock declined $3.50 per day for 4 days in a row. What is the total amount of the stock price declined after the 4 days? Per means to multiply, so $3.50 times 4. When we get our answer, we want to move our decimal over 2 spaces. So the total amount of stock that the price declined was $14. Number 19. Which term does not apply to the number -5 and 1/7? -5 and 1/7. Well, it is a negative number because there's a negative sign. There's a fraction. That makes it rational. Is it repeating? I don't know. I have to divide. Just dividing the fraction part. I don't want to mess with the whole number. So 7 into 1. I have to add a decimal and a 0. 7 goes into 10 once, with 3 left over. 7 goes into 30 4 times. 2 left over. 7 goes into 20 2 times, with 6 left over. 7 goes into 60 8 times, with 4 left over. 7 goes into, it just keeps going. 7 goes into 40 5 times, with 5 left over. 7 goes into 50 7 times, with 1 left over. Wait, we started with 1. So that means the whole pattern's about to repeat. That is a huge number, but it is just a repeating decimal. Since it's a repeating decimal, the question asks which one is it not. That makes it not terminating. Number 20. 1 week, the price of a share of stock shared started at $32. The price of the stock declined $2.50 per day for 3 days. Then rose $2 per day for 2 days. What was the price of the stock at the end of the week? Okay, well, if it's declining, that means we're going to be subtracting $2.50 per day for 3 days. So $2.50 times 3 days. Or you can add $2.50 3 times. So it declined, or it went down $7.50. So 32 minus $7.50. $24.50. Then it rose $2. Rose means we're adding $2 per 2 days. So $2 times 2 days. It gained, it went up, it rose $4. So I need to add that to the $24.50. Remember that lining up the decimals, so $4 makes the new price $28.50. $28.50. 21. The table below shows some data that Christian gathered from his outing bicycling. What is the ratio of the number of miles traveled to hours spent bicycling? Ratio. Ratio means a fraction, the simplest form. It says miles, so miles goes on top, then hours. 34 to 2. And I can drop that last 0 because it's behind the decimal, 34 to 2. But I need to simplify it. I can divide both of those numbers by 2. 34 divided by 2 makes 17. So 17 and 2 divided by 2 makes 1, so 17 to 1. Number 22. Which of the following could be Michaela's secret number? Michaela said she is thinking of a secret number. She gave the following clues about the number. The number lies to the left of 0 on the number line. So if we have a number line, and if it's on the left, that's over here. What numbers are on the left? Negatives. So it can't be these positive numbers. The number is rational, but not an integer. So that means it's not a whole number or its opposite. So it can't divide out perfectly. That one shows that it's a fraction and a decimal. It's going to be a fraction and a decimal. I don't know about this one, so I'm going to divide 54 by 18 and see if that comes out even. 18 goes into 54, maybe 3 times. Yep, 3 times. Evenly. -3 is an integer, so can't be that one. The last clue says the number is a terminating decimal. Well, is 3/8? Remember, if I'm changing it to a decimal, I'm not messing with the whole number that it's in front. I'm just dividing out the fraction part. So the top number goes in the house and the bottom number goes outside the house. 8 goes into 30 3 times, 6 left over. 8 goes into 60 7 times, 4 left over. 8 goes into 40 5 times. So this one would be -3.375. That is a terminating decimal. So my answer is -3 3/8. Number 23. Answer the question below by writing 2 or 3 complete sentences in the space provided. Be sure to write neatly. So you need to use words to explain what we would do to subtract 20 minus -6. We would need to use the rule for integers, subtracting integers, which is KCO. But when you're writing out sentences, we don't use abbreviations. We use what those letters stand for. So use the rule, keep, change, opposite and then you tell me what that means to do. So like keep 20, change minus to plus, and then take the opposite of -6, which would be +6. So if I'm really working it out, it's 20 plus +6. So then solve for 20 plus 6. And that's it. You don't even have to tell me an answer. The last question says, watch the video for the correct answer. So if you are to this point in the video, you probably watched it. Good job. You will have a test on Tuesday. Thank you for watching.